Hey everybody, it's Mario with 100K Paralegal Services, and we got great, and kind of crazy news to announce, guys. Sean P Diddy Combs has been denied bail for the third time. This is the court document, guys. Now, if you watch my other videos, I had another channel where I talked, extensively about his plight to get bail, how he was going to be denied bail, how the federal statute talks about people in his situation are typically almost always denied bail. As a matter of fact, they always are, based on the circumstance that he's under. He tried to put together a better package, said no cell phones, no this, no that, basically locking himself down at his home, a luxury apartment, like it's a prison, so he could be at home. And just this evening, the judge denied him. It's about 7 o'clock right now on the East Coast. And within the last hour and a half, the judge issued the order which denied him. And this is the order, guys. This is the court document where the judge denied him. And the judge had every right to do so. And the judge went into the statutory factors that led him to make his decision. And I'm gonna talk about this later. I believe P Diddy is stuck. Puffy is stuck. He's in a situation right now where he will probably never get out of it. He may end up dying in prison if he doesn't handle this right. And I got videos coming out about Puffy and his situation in the future about how he should handle this. But for the purposes of his third bail denial, this is what the judge said. So the judge, of course, used the statute, says no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. And the judge, of course, use the statutory factors, the weight of the evidence, the type of indictment, what type of crimes he's accused of. And the judge was very thorough. And let's remember, guys, the judge didn't have to do this. This is Puffy's P Diddy's third attempt at bail. He lost in front of the magistrate originally. He lost in front of the first district judge. The case was sent to another district judge. So a lot of people were actually concerned that P Diddy would actually get a bail this time, as if he judge shopped and maybe this judge had been bought off. I've always said federal people, federal agents, federal judges are probably the most angelic people out there, meaning they know or probably understand that they probably got to follow the law, because they don't know if they're being set up, they don't know if being paid off. It's better to just follow the law to avoid being set up and taking bribes. So a lot of people felt like Puffy had pulled some strings and got the bail thing, got the case in front of a different judge, and it was ultimately going to work in his favor as far as bail. Clearly it hasn't. So in this particular case, this is his first time in front of this judge as far as the bail issue goes, and the judge denied him. And not even just that, the judge also was very clear in why he denied him. And I'm gonna go through it. And he didn't fall for whatever P Diddy and his lawyers were trying to put forth. So the judge said indictment charges come with serious and violent crimes. It alleges that for decades, Combe abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, P Diddy relied on the employees' resource and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other things, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. It says that Cole himself carried and brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. And notes that the searches of Combs' residence in March 2024, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with their face serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. So you talk about when his authority was questioned or threatened. The indictment alleges that he and his members engaged in acts of violence, threats of violence, and threats of financial reputational harm and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. So he just basically went down of the things that was alleged, the things that the government alleged, presented, the evidence that the government presented, and it was pretty specific. He said the government presented direct evidence of his violence. This includes video footage from 2016. There's clearly violence, even though the version of footage submitted by there's clearly violence even in the version of footage submitted by Combs. And text messages between Combs and victim one. Text messages from the days and hours following the 2016 Intercontinental Hotel incident, where the victim, who was Cassie, which is the victim in this case, said, "I have a black eye and a fat lip. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you have done. I still have crazy bruising." He said, nevertheless, Combs argued that the weight of evidence does not support a charge of sex trafficking. His view supports, at best, a toxic, sometimes violent long-term relationship between Combs and victim one. But regardless of whether it's true, there is compelling evidence of Combs' propensity for violence. So there's evidence supporting a serious risk of witness tampering. For example, Combs initiated and had unexplained communications with witness one, who was subpoenaed to testify before a grand jury in June 2024, and in fact testified on July 25th, 2024. Combs was represented by counsel during this time. They have offered explanation for some of these communications, but they cannot explain them all. For instance, Combs' efforts to call and text witness one, even after his grand jury testimony, or Combs deleted texts with those witness. Although the phone records confirmed that the defendant, using a particular phone number in witness one, exchanged multiple text messages from June 24 to August 24, there is no such message recovered from Combs' cell phone associated with that number. Therefore, Combs' interaction with witness one are directly in conflict with defense counsel's representation to Judge Carter on September 18, 2024, that Combs did not reach out to grand jury witness. He didn't do it and wouldn't do it. There is evidence that Combs violated Bureau of Prisons regulations during his pretrial detention to obscure his communication to third parties. He paid other inmates to use their phone access code, PAC numbers, to make calls to those not on his approved contact list. Instructed family members and defense counsel add other people to three-way calls so that their communications were more difficult to trace. And using messaging program called Contact Me ASAP. Although the court recognizes the parties dispute whether Contact Me ASAP is permitted or not, the government gives example of Combs' communication utilizing these means as from as recently as November 4th, 2024, directed to efforts to influence the jury pool or to reach out to potential witnesses. The court makes no determination of the content of his communications through these channels was improper. However, his willingness to skirt BOP rules in a way that would make it more difficult for his communications to be monitored is strong evidence that the court cannot be reasonably assured as to the sufficiency of any conditions of release, especially given that they occurred when Combs was seeking bail and when he knew the government concerns about witness tampering and obstruction were front and center. Underscoring the court's concern, despite defense counsel's assurances to the court at the November 22nd, 2024 hearing that Combs stopped using Contact Me ASAP as of November 16, 2024, the government indicates that Combs continued to use this service as recently as this past Sunday, November 24th, 2024. The court further notes that it held an emergency hearing on November 19th to address the government's usage of notes on legal pads recovered from Combs' bunk during a sweep of the Metropolitan Detention Center. So, yes, they were marked as legal. After the hearing, the court inquired why, in light of counsel's representation that the notes were issued were on legal pads that were clearly marked as legal. Photographs were taken during the sweep showed no such labels. At the November 22nd, 2024 hearing, defense counsel admitted that it has to be the case that as the day of the search, legal wasn't written on every legal pad and that they were not sure whether the pad presented to the court had legal on it at the time of the sweep. The circumstances of this incident and the misrepresentation made at the November 19th, 2024 hearing where Combs was present bear on whether the court can be reasonably assured that any conditions it imposes will be followed, or whether through inadvertence or active subversion they will be broken and the community safety threatened. The court assumes that it may consider the bail package that Combs has proposed, but United States versus Bostani. Let's not forget, Bostani is a case that I mentioned in one of the previous videos that we did, guys, where I talked about how Bostani basically said that, this case from 2019 out of Second Circuit said that, rich people can't just buy their way out of jail by creating an at-home detention facility that poor people can't afford. And doing so would create a two-tiered system. That's what basically Bastani said, just to give you guys a little recap. So go check that video out that I put up previously. So it said, given the nature of the allegation in this case and the information provided by the government, the court doubts the sufficiency of any conditions that place trust in Combs and individuals in his employ, like private security detail, that follow these conditions. So, the judge went on to decipher previous cases as far as how in Combs' situation he was doing obstruction of justice. Other cases they had not. And they talk about how people who was a flight risk, who was not a flight risk, like the guy Jeffries who just got bail on the Abercrombie and Fitch case, and for $10 million, and Combs didn't, when he had no criminal history, and the things had occurred with Jeffries years ago. He was 80 years old. So basically, this is what the judge concluded. He said, Combs' motion for temporary release is denied. The court finds that Combs has not shown a temporary release from detention pursuant to Title 18, 3142 is warranted. Under this provision, a judicial officer may permit a temporary release of a person in custody, blah, 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 blah. But given Combs access to counsel and documents, there is an issue with Combs receiving a laptop for the purposes of reviewing discovery, but the court addresses that. The firm deadline, the government's discovery, the end of this year, and the time left before a trial over 5 months, Combs has not carried his burden demonstrating that release from detention is necessary. So, basically said, he can renew his motion for bail, but the court will promptly address any issues that arise with respect to Combs' trial preparation. If the circumstances materially change, he may renew his application under 3142I. The motion is denied. The clerk of the court respectfully directed to terminate docket 60. Docket 60 was the motion for bail. He's done, you guys. He just really doesn't understand. He's buried himself. He's using other people's inmate numbers. He's making phone calls to unauthorized people. He's doing 3-way calls. All of these things are clearly skirting the rules while he's trying to get bail. It'd be different if he already got denied bail. He wasn't trying to get bail continuously, and he had decided to, violate the jail rules. But this judge was thorough. I already told you guys in previous videos he was never going to get bail. He's screwed, and there's only one way out of it. Well, 2 ways out of this situation, and I've spoken on it. And I'm gonna do another video, multiple videos discussing this. But just so you guys know, there's no way out of this. A plea deal right now, he needs to take the best deal he could take to avoid getting 20, 30 years in prison and spending his rest of life in prison. There's another way out of this that I'm going to discuss at a later date. But he's been denied, y'all. Tell me what y'all think. The court document is here, and the judge was thorough. Tell me what y'all think. Should he have gotten bail? Should he not have gotten bail? $50 million. Would you guys, if you were the judge, would you have taken a chance on letting him out on bail? Tell me what you guys think. This is Mr. 100K a day with 100K Paralegal Services. Until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and each other and be safe. Peace.
Mm-hmm.